Is the average tiger significantly bigger than the average frog? Yes. Is the average tiger a lot bigger than the average frog? Yes. Do those two questions mean the same thing? Yeah. No. This is a trick that is commonly used in advertisements to try and overstate the effect that a product has. In general language, significant means noteworthy, meaningful, big. But in statistics and science, it's protected. It's a sacred word that is reserved only for people who have conducted a statistical analysis. Whenever significant is used in a scientific context, there is an implied statistical in front of it, and you're essentially not allowed to use the word outside of that context. Significant is used to describe an effect that is unlikely to have been caused by random chance, which you can only find out if you have done a statistical analysis. And advertisers will play on this misunderstanding to try and overstate the effect that their product has, while also claiming that it is scientifically or statistically supported. If Johnny businessman wants to test whether his fat reducing cream works, he'll take two groups of people, he'll give his cream to one of them, he won't give it to the other, and he'll monitor their fat reduction over some period of time. Chances are, at the end of that period of time, there will be a difference between the two groups. But that doesn't mean that the difference is real. Until we do a statistical analysis, we can't know whether that difference was caused by random chance. So Johnny will hire a bunch of nerds to do some maths and find out if the difference is significant or not. Generally, when scientists or statisticians call a number significant, they are 95% confident that it wasn't caused by chance. So if Johnny gets his papers back, and the scientists have found out that there is a statistically significant difference of half a pound over the course of 12 months, he will take that, and he will write an ad with it. Buy my new cream, significantly increases weight loss. But Johnny won't write that it reduces weight loss by half a pound over the course of a year. That's not something he wants people to know. All he cares about is that people will think significant means big, and they will think that his product has been scientifically proven to cause a big reduction in weight. Johnny is not a liar, but he is a rat. Another term that advertisers love to use is clinically proven, but all that clinically proven means is that a trial was conducted and an effect was found. It's essentially the same as significant. It makes no claim about the size of the difference, about how meaningful the change actually was in a real world context. But advertisers love to use it because it gives them authority. It gives them a sense of, we did a scientific test and we found that this works, so we can charge more for it now. Clinically proven is particularly beloved by skincare and beauty brands, so let's take a look at a couple of products and see what their advertisements are claiming. Ren's Skincare Bio-Retinoid Youth Cream. Proven to deliver visibly firmer and more supple and healthier looking skin in 28 days. They've been very careful with their word choices in that phrase. They actually haven't used the word clinically proven, they've used the word proven. So they're not actually claiming that a clinical trial has occurred at all. But the other word that I think is more important is visibly, which sounds like a good thing, but what that means is that the effect that their product has can't actually be quantified, or if it can, they haven't done it. This proven part comes from a consumer survey where about 80% of participants agreed that their skin looked firmer, healthier, more supple, whatever. And they haven't actually done any testing at all. They've simply asked people who've already used the cream whether they agree that their skin looks better. And that's not to say this product doesn't work, but it's easy to see how biases can sort of creep in and influence responses in this sort of assessment. It's not really scientific, and they're not lying with any part of this advertisement. Everything that they say in it is true, but I think the message that it sends is slightly different than what the information that it's based on actually suggests. Okay, but what about Olay? They claim to do 17 clinical studies per year for their products. They've got the fantastic little motto, proven science, trusted results. Let's take a look at the Olay Retinol 24 Night Moisturizer. Recommended by Vogue. These molecules are known to help skin look smoother. That's great, but what about the actual product? Being tall is known to be an advantage in basketball, but I'm 6'2" and I still suck. Just because the molecules are known to have this effect, it doesn't necessarily mean that putting them into your moisturizer and putting that moisturizer on a human being is going to have the same effect. Here we go, let's take a look at the research section of their website to find out what they actually do. Okay, apparently this low polygon graph proves that these ingredients reduce wrinkles. 4.5 what? Oh, here we go, they've included some helpful images. Okay, this was posted on their website. This is probably the best possible scenario. They do link some actual research studies, and I had a look through them, but they're generally all looking at individual ingredients and comparing individual ingredients that are present in their new product to the individual ingredient present in their old product, without directly comparing them, and they're also only looking at cell cultures in the lab rather than actual human beings. So it's pretty hard to say for sure whether the actual product would have an effect or not. And another consumer survey, 8 in 10 people agree that Retinol 24 moisturizer reduces fine lines and wrinkles in just 4 weeks. Based on the wording of this, I think it was probably one of those 5 option surveys we have from strongly disagree to strongly agree. And this makes absolutely no distinction about what amount of effect was caused, what amount of reduction was seen. They make no claims about that. I want to reiterate that I'm not saying that these products don't work. In fact, they probably all do. But their advertising is trying to give them scientific support, scientific credence, when the actual research is being stretched as far as it possibly can. In general, if an advertiser isn't showing you numbers about how big an effect is, you should ask why, because there's probably one of 2 reasons. Either they have no idea what effect it will actually have on you if you purchase it quantifiably, or they know exactly what it will do to you and they don't want to tell you, because you won't pay the price that they're asking if you know how much it's going to do for you. If an advertisement does show numbers, you should also ask why, because there's one more trick that advertisers like to use, and it's called relative risk. Relative risk and absolute risk are 2 different ways of presenting the same information, and advertisers will often choose to use relative risk to try and elicit an emotional response, because absolute risk wouldn't have the same effect. There's lots of talk about berries being superfoods because they contain lots of antioxidants, but say you come across a headline that reads, "This superfood reduces colon cancer risk by 20%. That sounds like a lot. That sounds great. 20% reduced risk of colon cancer. Sounds great. All I have to do is eat this garbage. Sure, whatever, easy. But 20% is probably the relative risk number. Your risk of developing colon cancer if you're in the US is about 5%. So eating a superfood takes your risk from 5% down to 4%. That's the absolute risk, a reduction of 1%. Now 1% is still a reduction, it's still good, it's still useful, but particularly if you're not super intuitive with numbers, the 20% headline might sound like a lot more than the 1% absolute risk. And that's exactly what advertisers want. Again, there is no lie in the statement that it reduces risk by 20%. It's telling the truth, but it is framed in a particular way to elicit a particular response. Apparently, the recent economic downturn has led to an increase in spending on supplements and magic pills, because people can't afford to go to the doctor, so they're looking for some other way to try and keep themselves in good health. Combine that with the pressure that social media puts on you to always look your best and feel your best by constantly comparing you to perfectly curated influencers, and it's more important than ever to be aware of deceptive marketing and tricks. Now, not all companies are outright trying to scam you, but it is in their best interest to lie to you as much as they legally can. They want you to buy your product, and if they can do that by overstating the effect that their product will have, or by convincing you to believe something that they haven't actually said, then it's in their best interest to do so. Next time you see an advertisement, watch out for sciencey buzzwords like significant, like clinically proven, scientifically formulated, or natural. These words don't necessarily mean what you might think they mean, and advertisers know exactly what they mean. But note, clinically significant does not actually mean the same thing as statistically significant or clinically proven. It's typically used in a public health context to mean an effect that has been found to be statistically significant, but also big enough to have an effect on the broader. This is confusing. I'm sorry. This is really confusing. There's so many words and they all mean different things, but they sound so similar, and get over it. They want you to be confused. He wants you to be confused. He doesn't want you asking questions. But you should. If they tell you their product has an effect, ask how much of an effect. If they tell you how much, ask how it was tested, how many people, how long did it take, how reliable is the study. And if they don't give you numbers, you should assume that it's for a bad reason. Assume that they either don't know them or they don't want to show you. And just before I finish, I've put a link in the description to my brand new supplement that I've started with Johnny Businessman. Yeah. It's clinically proven to significantly increase your lean muscle mass. It's a wonderful product. And your lower leg follicular mass. And it also gives you increased immunity to the woke mind virus, and
It's for you, Elon. That's for you, Elon.
thanks for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed. See ya.